Let's talk about how Halloween Ends is doing at the box office, as well as the fourth film in the Hell House LLC franchise. Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Let's talk a little bit about how the rat-eating Michael Myers is doing at the box office, as well as Hell House LLC's fourth entry, The Carmichael Manor. I'm really excited to get into this update, but first, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, your boy would greatly appreciate that. Now let's talk a little bit about the fourth entry in the Hell House franchise. This week, we learned that there's a brand new prequel coming in the Hell House franchise, and we just got kind of a trailer for it today. It is titled Hell House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor. That is pretty damn wordy, and we got some more words to throw into your ear holes right now. The Hell House team explains in the first chapter of what will become known as the Hell House LLC Origin films, a group of cold case investigators stay at the Carmichael Manor, site of the grisly and unsolved murders of the Carmichael family back in the 80s. After 4 nights, the group was never heard from again. What is discovered on their footage is even more disturbing than anything found on the Hell House tapes. So basically what we've learned from this description and also the trailer that came out today is that this will be another story centered around like the same group of like devil worshippers or like the cults thing that was going on in the first 3 films, but at a different location. That location, you may ask? That is, of course, the Carmichael Manor. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, though, and you're like, what the heck is Hell House, Jake? Well, check it out. I believe these movies are still on Shudder, if I'm remembering correctly. But honestly, the first one is one of the most underrated found footage flicks of all time. I really enjoy that first movie. The sequels are fine. They're still fun, but they're not great. But that first one is phenomenal. I highly recommend that one. Something that's interesting about this franchise is I think that most times these movies kind of get chalked up as just like more found footage movies in the sea of millions and millions of found footage movies. But that first one really stands out. The sequels, maybe not so much, but I still really enjoy them and they're still all very fun. Which is why I'm excited for this prequel film. I'm not expecting much from it, but I'm expecting that it will be fun, and it's coming to Shudder in 2023, just in time for Halloween that year. I am really excited to see this one. I can't wait to watch it. I bet it's going to be a really fun time. As well as VHS 85, which also comes to Shudder in October next year. You're gonna want to get Shudder for October next year, let me tell you. But if you like found footage, jump scare-esque movies, you will dig Hell House LLC. I highly recommend it. Go check it out and then get excited for the prequel that comes out next year. Now, before we talk more about the Corey story, Electric Cunningham, which is what I'm going to be referring to Halloween Ends as from now on, let's talk a little bit about a good movie, Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2, after being re-released in theaters, so far has added another $1 million to its gross, and now in total has made almost $2.5 million. This may not sound big to you, but for an indie horror film, this is gigantic. Halloween Ends had like millions of dollars to play with, not only to like make the movie, but also to advertise it, and that's why it's going to probably make like millions and millions of dollars, in the 100 millions, I'm sure. But this is huge for a movie that unfortunately did not have the ability to market itself or the money to do so either. This is all word of mouth, and this is huge for indie horror. I mean, if we want horror films to be more original again and to have things where it's like studios not breathing down creatives' throats, this is the way to go. We have to support movies like this. Because I don't know about you, but some of the more popular movies we're getting, you can feel the studio intervention in some of them. I love that this was just purely Damien Leone's vision, and it's fucking awesome. I will always support indie horror like this, but at the same time, I'm also really happy that Terrifier 2 is a badass fucking movie. I saw it again on Saturday, and I caught even more things I missed from the first time, especially something about the acid, which I won't go into any more detail for people who haven't seen that yet. So if you're in an area where it is actually showing, go check this puppy out. And if not, it will be on streaming sometime in November on Screambox. Check this baby out while you can. You only have until the 20th. All right, now let's talk a little more about Halloween Ends, because there is unfortunately more to talk about. Michael Myers, or I guess I should say Corey Cunningham, has scared up a whole 58.4 million worldwide during the weekend release of Halloween Ends. Domestically, the film only made 41.2 million in its opening weekend, and director Christopher Landon had some pretty negative words to say about that. Frequent Blumhouse collaborator Christopher Landon expressed some annoyance at day and date releases in a series of posts on Twitter, urging studios to refrain from the process, saying, "I feel another rant coming on, today it's the day and date release strategy for Halloween Ends. Stop doing this. Please, it doesn't work. The director argued that studios releasing films on demand while they are still in theaters are only doing so to further benefit their streaming platforms rather than looking out for filmmakers, stating studios stop gambling with filmmakers and their movies to try and prop up your fledgling streaming services. Christopher Landon makes a pretty good point there. I mean, let's compare this to the Halloween 2018's opening weekend. Domestically, that film made $76 million in its opening weekend compared to Halloween Kills, which only made $49 million. Both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends were released the same day to Peacock and kinda suffered for it. I mean, just think about percentages there for a minute. Like 76 million your opening weekend is really good, and for that to drop drastically to 49 million domestically your opening weekend, that's almost cut in half. And now to go down to 41.2 million in your opening weekend, I just feel like they're leaving money on the table trying to prop up these streaming services. And as much as I have lost a lot of respect for David Gordon Green for putting out such a lazy film this past weekend, I still think that it should have just had its full theatrical run before it made its way to Peacock. There is a counter argument to this though, that a lot of people are still unable to make it to the theaters, so it's really nice and very convenient to have it on Peacock. So I see both sides of this argument. I know it is really nice to have it the same day on Peacock, but it also does hurt filmmakers by not being able to have a full theatrical run like that. Let's also compare this to movies like Smile, which was originally supposed to be a Paramount Plus exclusive, and then they ended up throwing it in the theaters, and now it's made over $100 million, which I can tell you that would not have been the case if they would have just sent this straight to Paramount Plus. I do think that studios should revise their plan of attack when it comes to movies going straight to streaming services or straight to theaters. What should they do depending on what the situation is? Like I said, I think there is an argument to be made on both sides, which is why I feel like the best case scenario here is maybe to just do the first week in theaters and then the second week it drops on Peacock, so that the people who are really anxious to see the film can see it in its first week in the theaters, which would drive more people to the theaters ultimately and still have a pretty good release. But then the people who are unable to see it in theaters can still watch it on Peacock from the comfort of their own homes. That's just my pitch. I'm not really super passionate on both sides. I see the argument on both sides and it is definitely a problem, but I don't think there's like one simple solution to this. Not really at all. Also, today's sponsor is In Search of Darkness Part 3, baby. In Search of Darkness Part 3 is a 5+ hour exploration of a time when horror filmmaking exploded thanks to cable TV and the home video revolution. Packed with quality film clips and interviews, the long-form 80s era documentary dives into 79 impactful and controversial films of the decade, from direct-to-video and shot-on-video bottom-shelf favorites to unsung drive-in and theatrical releases. This 80s super doc features interviews with 70 horror experts and icons sharing insider tales of maverick filmmaking adventures and the horror movies they love. You currently have 14 days, 14 hours, 13 minutes, and 4 seconds left from when I'm recording this video for you to get this puppy, so make sure to do it. The link for that is in the description below. Click that link right now, or so help me God, I'm going to cry into a bowl of spaghetti. What do you guys think that big horror movies like this should start doing at the theaters? Should they just release them straight to theaters, release them straight to streaming? What do you guys think they should do? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new update on Hell House LLC as well as Halloween Ends. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.